Good morning. How are you doing? Welcome to the morning live stream. Let's see, we are now live on Facebook. Also, we are now connecting and successfully connected to YouTube. So we are streaming live. Thank you for being here this morning. Every Friday morning at about 8 a.m. Eastern Time, we get together to talk voiceover. And Fridays, as is our tradition, we're going to talk about, or actually answer your questions. So as you come into the live stream this morning, say, hey, let me know where you're from, and give me your question or comment. And I want to let you know that coming up this Friday, not this Friday, today is Friday, this coming Tuesday, will be the fourth installment of Tom Park's audiobook workshop. It is a master class in not only how to narrate audiobooks, but how to build a successful voiceover audio book business. Tom has been making a multiple six-figure income for years recording audiobooks. He's a great guy. He's a great teacher, and he's super successful. And we are, this being the fourth session, obviously 3 have already happened, but the way this works is whenever I hold a workshop or a class like this, all of the sessions are recorded. So when you get the program, you have access to all of the recorded material. So in other words, if you were to buy the program today, you would have access to the first 3 sessions, which you could watch on demand whenever you want to, as many times as you want to, and then have access to the live session that's coming up on Friday, and then have access to the recording thereafter, again, indefinitely, as frequently as you want to watch it. And to learn more, go to Audiobook Seminar, audiobookSeminar.com, audiobookSeminar.com. All right, LaSherry in North Carolina, how are you? Hey, Shalonda, and blessings to you this morning as well. Thank you. In Cleveland, from Cleveland, reside in Phoenix. Let me take a wild guess as to why you went from Cleveland to Phoenix. Might it have something to do with the weather? Just taking a wild stab there. Okay, here we go. Our first question of the morning. What inspired you to teach others about the business? You know, it's interesting. There's a line that Morgan Freeman gives, and I've mentioned this quote a number of times throughout my career, but it's in the movie Along Came a Spider. And there's a line in which he says, we aren't what we do. Okay, the line is, we aren't what we do, but we do what we are. And I found that to be true in my own life. Earlier on in my career, for a number of years, I worked in radio, and most of those years as a program director as well as on-air talent. And so my job was to hire and develop talent. And during that time, I discovered that was something that I did well, and that people responded well to, and people would seek me out for help. And I really loved to teach and mentor, especially younger talent that was coming into the business. And after that, I was recruited to become a professor at a liberal arts university in the Chicagoland area. It was a smaller one. Olivet Nazarene University was a school. And I taught there for 14 years, oversaw, they have a 35,000 watt FM station that covers the Chicagoland area. So I managed that. Also taught in the MBA program, and found out that I really enjoyed teaching a lot there. And then I went to work at a couple of consulting firms after that, in the corporate world, and found that I really love to work with business owners and people who are in management positions of business, to learn how to be more successful in their work and to make their businesses more successful. So this is going someplace. That gives you a little background. So when I got into voiceover, I had no intention of teaching or coaching it. That wasn't on my mind, nor was I necessarily interested, because I'd done it for several decades prior to that. And I was very happy to sit in my walk-in closet and record voiceovers, because I made a very good living doing it. But the local newspaper where I lived they caught wind of what I was doing, and they did a news story with a big picture on the Sunday spread. And I started getting, interestingly enough, email and phone calls, not just from the local community, but from around the country. So apparently people were sharing the article with other people that they knew that were interested in voiceover. So long story short, people started reaching out to me, asking for help. And there were a couple people that I would talk with on a semi-regular basis, but it got to be more, I realized that this was going to be more than I could handle. on my own, and I wanted to be able to, if I was going to teach it, which I enjoyed doing, I was going to need to scale it and to reach more people simultaneously. And thus, that's why I'm on YouTube. That's why I create programs and where I can serve many at once. And like for instance, the first time we did Mallory's Fiverr class, there were, I believe, over 1,000 students in that course. But with technology, we can do that. So anyhow, that's the story. And yes, indeed, I am sticking to it. Let's see here. Alejandro, hey there, Steve and Oshkosh. Alejandro's asking, I have a Rode Podcaster. Can I use it as my audio interface? And should I use their DS and noise gate, etc.? I also have a compressor. Yeah, Alejandro, I do not own the Rode Podcaster. I have a very close friend that does and loves it. And he's a successful voiceover talent. And he doesn't use his for voiceover. He does remote work in the air show industry, and he loves it and thinks very highly of it. And so, from what I've been told of it, yes, you very much could use it, as well as their built-in like noise gate if you wanted to use noise gate. Always, and that's noise gate. That's a whole other conversation. If you use noise gate, be very, very careful. You want to make sure that the person listening to the audio can't tell that you're using one. Because gates, think of it this way, they open and they close. When you're talking, they open. When you stop talking, essentially, this is a very simplified version, they close to cut out the background noise. But when they're open and you're talking, if you've got CNN on TV in the background, people are going to hear CNN or dogs barking or whatever. So you just have to be very careful with that. Hey, Bruce in Louisville, good morning to you. Grant, in one of my favorite places in the world, Columbus, Ohio. I grew up just down the street in Lancaster, and then my wife and I lived in Columbus for quite a while, worked at 3 different radio stations in Columbus. A lot of great memories. Hey, Ron in Charleston. Matt in Orlando. Oh, Matt, you emailed me? Yeah. And it could be, it depends on when you emailed me. But if you email me, like a week ago and haven't heard back, then yeah, something's wrong. So voiceoverexpert@gmail.com, voiceoverexpert@gmail.com would be the address. So yeah, just shoot out that email again if you would. Hey, Jay in Massachusetts, good morning. Yeah, Teresa in Atlanta. Good morning, y'all, she says, and good morning, y'all, back to you as well. Here's a comment. Tom's classes, meaning Tom Parks audiobook class, they're the bomb. They are. He's the best, man. It's interesting, and I get it. A lot of people want to take classes from people who are high profile, and there's nothing wrong with that. But whoever you take a class from, sometimes being high profile doesn't necessarily convert into them being successful at what they do today or being able to teach it. It doesn't mean they can't. But what I'm saying is, here's Tom, who really hasn't been on the radar in terms, generally speaking. He doesn't promote himself on social media and all of that stuff. But he's a friend of mine, so I knew he was a former college student of mine. So I knew what he was doing. We've been in touch, and, he kept me up to date. And so here's this guy who's off the radar to the general people like you, who don't know, or there's people out there who are very successful that I don't know either because they don't promote themselves in that way. He's off the radar, but he's a great teacher and he's mega successful at what he does. And so look for people who are very successful, not just popular, but successful at what they do. Hey, Courtney in Little Rock. Dory, you are here every morning. It is so good to see that you're here. I appreciate that. Many of you guys are regulars and we're growing and, I love it. Thank you. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, because when you subscribe, you get the notifications. Plus, if there's any additional content I upload, you'll always be notified of that. And of course, if you like and appreciate the content, which I assume you do or you wouldn't be here, be sure to give it a thumbs up, a like, and share if you would. I appreciate that. Marion, Illinois. Yes, I have been through Marion on several occasions. I believe on my way to Nashville, if I'm not mistaken, back when I lived in Illinois. Lake of the Ozarks. Edward, hey there. Bruce says, are you a fan of Robert Clotworthy, narrator of Ancient Aliens? I'm sure, I would imagine if I YouTubed it, I would recognize the voice. Is that Ancient Aliens? Is that on the History Channel? If it's the guy I'm thinking of, yes, I like his work, but I may not be thinking of the right person. The name Robert Clotworthy doesn't ring a bell with me. I don't, a lot of people think like I know everybody who's in voiceover. I don't. I know some of the, the works I'm familiar with, but I'm not the kind of person. I don't keep up with all the latest equipment, the microphones, the latest talent. I don't. It's, my puny brain can only keep up with so much, right? Hey, Patricia in Buffalo. Hey, Benton, Southern California. If you want to learn from a female voiceover talent, I would highly recommend this. I'm a little biased, but my daughter, Mallory, she's very successful. She doesn't keep her profile is high in that she does, the Fiverr class, but she's been recording voice. She records more than just Fiverr work. And she has been by my side now now not so much by my side. She's doing her own thing, but she worked with me as my assistant for like a decade prior to, going out on her own. Chile, Miguel, good morning. Hello. Dory, thanks. Anytime someone asks me how to get into VO, I tell them to go to Bill DeWeese on YouTube. I appreciate that, Dory. Patricia is building a VO room, sound room, and a 4x6 basement room. Your info is so helpful. Oh, well, thank you, Patricia. And enjoy the spaciousness. 4x6. It's interesting. I'm in a 3.5 by 5 foot booth, which I like fine. When I first worked in it, it felt a little claustrophobic, and I've been in it for so many years now that it feels very comfortable. But 4x6 just sounds so luxurious right now. And that's what Mallory has too, a 4x6 whisper room that she works in. And when I get in it, I feel like I'm in a small New York apartment. It feels a lot more spacious than this. Of course it is. Do I have anyone in my community that teaches YouTube content creation? No, I do not, CJ. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that there aren't those who know about it, but in terms of that's their main focus, I don't. Are there any DAW basics classes to walk me through the theory and concepts? Yeah, as a matter of fact, hold on just a second. I'm trying to remember. I'm embarrassed now. I can't remember the URL. My son taught an extensive audio tech class, which included how to use your DAW. Drop me an email at voiceoverexpert@gmail.com, voiceoverexpert@gmail.com. And Vicky, my wife, she basically administrates my voiceover business and keeps an eye on that particular inbox. So she will direct you to that URL. And thanks for your interest. Mr. Harmon checking in from Massachusetts. Do I recommend an LLC? When it comes to, let me say this, and anytime anybody asks me about how they should legally structure their business, I always recommend talking to your tax person. If you don't have a tax person, get a tax person. One size doesn't fit all, and there are some factors that play into it, including what state you live in. I will say that when you really start making money consistently, it's good to graduate from a sole proprietorship. I started off as a sole proprietorship, but you don't get nearly the tax advantages you would from having an LLC or being incorporated. I'm incorporated. I did that on the advice of my tax person. Doesn't mean that that's the best advice for you. Perhaps an LLC is, but talking to a tax pro will help you make that determination. But you definitely, there are so many deductions that you can take. Anything that, that is related to your business, and there's probably far more things than you even think off the top of your head. But it has saved me tens of thousands, if not more, dollars over the years. It probably saves me tens of thousands of dollars a year, put it that way, being structured that way. Oh, Uncle Don, I've done VO training. Let's see. Okay, asking about getting a demo produced. Yeah, I am a demo producer. A lot of people don't know that because back in my day in broadcasting, I wrote and produced nearly 10,000 commercials. I was in radio for like 24 years, so that's why. So, yeah, that's a big part of what I do. So if you have interest in me producing your demo, and I'd love to work with you on that because the demo is such an important thing, reach out to me at voiceoverexpert@gmail.com and just say you're interested in finding out more about having me produce your demo. I'll get back to you with the pricing information, and also I will send you samples of clients that I've worked with so you can hear and compare, which is always a good thing to do when you're looking for a demo producer. Herb, happy 4th of July, he says, from Miami, and a happy 4th to you. I hope you all have a wonderful and safe weekend. And of course, those of us here in the U.S. will be celebrating our independence. It's been, so from 1776, we're talking like 240-ish years, give or take. I'm not a math person, but I think I'm in the ballpark. So it's a big deal. Is it possible, Courtney asks. Oh, and by the way, Doug said, yeah, the History Channel. Yeah. Okay, I know who you're talking about. I didn't know his name. But the gentleman you referred to, yeah, I like his work. He's very much more in the traditional vein of an announcer, very authoritative. But I think, the work that I've heard that he does, I feel like he does it very well. I mean, obviously, he's a successful actor. Courtney says, is it possible to have a multifaceted business? For instance, I'm a copywriter wanting to get into voiceover soon. Well, Courtney, actually, I started my career as a copywriter. And having copywriting as a foundation to build on, I credit my ability to write in large part to any success that I've had in my career. Whether it was, working in broadcasting, I had to use that skill a lot. Certainly in voiceover training. Now, I don't offer it as a service. I could, but frankly, I would rather talk than write. Talking is not nearly as much work for me as write. I'm good at writing, but it just requires more mental energy than I'm willing to give at this point in time. So, but that being said, yeah, certainly. Now, here's the thing. If you're going to market yourself as a voiceover talent, market yourself as a voiceover talent, not as a voiceover talent /copywriter /actor /whatever. Have a primary focus, but then you can offer other services as an aside. In other words, don't confuse people up front, or it dilutes your message. If I say I'm 2, 3, or 4 things, then they're like, well, maybe he's not the best at any single one of them. Now, that doesn't mean that's true. It just means that we're talking about marketing and perception. So make voiceover, if that's what you want to be your primary thing, the primary thing, and you can always offer a copywriting to your clients, or have it as more of an afterthought on your website. Okay. Let's see. Here's a question. Would I mind sharing the companies you like for sound treatment? Yeah, not at all. It's a short list. Auralex. This foam is Auralex. It came with my Whisper Room, but this is good, really good acoustic treatment. Don't mistakenly think that sound treatment is sound treatment is sound treatment. It's not. And I found that out the hard way. Like, for instance, in the corner, can you see this right here? It looks different. This is not Auralex. This is not Auralex. This is, I believe, 4-inch, 3 or 4-inch acoustic foam. Generic somebody made it, but I don't know what brand or what company. I think it was recommended by Amazon. I bought rolls and rolls of it on Amazon. It's virtually worthless. It helps maybe a little bit, but it's nothing like Auralex. And I have it up here just to fill the dead spots and to make it look a little bit better. This is more eye candy, if you could even call it that. But this is the real deal. Good acoustic foam is engineered differently. It's thicker, it's denser, it's more absorbent. This stuff is like, I don't know, it's thin and airy, and sound still passes through and bounces back and all of that. So Auralex. The other is Audimute, Audimute, Audimute.com. Those guys, their materials are just phenomenal. I own, my previous house, I used their, I'm trying to think of the name of it. I can't remember the name of it, but it was it's like this acoustically engineered, these tiles that you can design, you can put up on a wall to make it look like they're multicolored or multi-shaded, and they're different depths. So you get some sound diffusion as well as acoustic treatment, absorption. And man, those things were, wow. I couldn't believe how dead my room was with those things up. And their sound blankets, I've got several of those, and they're so good. Audimute. Make sure you tell them Bill Dewey sent you. Audimute. Those are my two faves. Oh, wow. Patricia says, I have a booth I normally use for audiometry. I believe that's the correct pronunciation, audiometry. Was able to get it for $500. Fantastic. I treat it inside. How can I know if it's dead enough for VO? Well, Patricia, the holy grail, excuse me, a voiceover, is minus 60 dB noise floor. So what you want to do is get in it and record. Hit the record button. Set your audio. Here's the quick and dirty way of doing it. Here's the way I do it. I set my raw audio, unprocessed, to where it's peaking at about minus 3 dB. So I adjust my levels as I'm talking. I want I adjust the essentially the volume, the input of my voice up or down to where it peaks at about minus 3 dB when I'm speaking conversationally at normal volume. And then once I have that, I sit silent for about 10 seconds and let it keep recording. But I don't even I hold my breath, no noise. And then I hit the stop button. Then I go back and I play it and I look and I watch the audio levels for when I'm not talking. And I see where they're peaking. And if it's louder than minus 60 dB, you need additional treatment. I'm sure the booth's fine. It's just a matter of how much you need on the inside of it. Maybe some extra reinforcement, or maybe locating it in a different room if it's louder than minus 60 dB. But that's how you do that. Good morning, Jeanette in Tampa. Thanks for being here. Dawn has a small win announcement. I signed up for local acting class. I start next week. All right, Don, congrats and good luck. I hope that works out well for you. It's good to celebrate forward movement, and so always be moving forward. Charles in Tampa, hey, good morning. Thanks for doing these sessions. Great info. Oh, thank you, Charles. Can I recommend a microphone for noisy environments, please? Yes. Well, I'll tell you what I did. There's no microphone that's going to take out all the background noise, but you can mitigate it somewhat. I own a couple of Neumann TLM 103s. I love them. They're great microphones. But I ended up not swapping it. Well, I swapped it. I kept it, but I bought a new one. This is a Sennheiser MKH 416 shotgun microphone. And there are other shotgun microphones on the market too. But the great thing about a shotgun microphone is it's made to pick up what's directly in front of it, and it's not as sensitive to things that aren't directly in front of its line of fire. It will pick up things. If a truck goes by, it's still going to pick it up, but it's not as sensitive to those things as a large diaphragm microphone. So a shotgun is a good place to start. Another place to start would be a broadcast quality dynamic microphone, like an Electro Voice RE20 or a Shure SM7B. Those two microphones are used extensively in broadcast environments. I worked almost extensively, or exclusively, I should say, on an EV or Electro Voice RE20 over my 2 decades plus in broadcasting. We're talking in the $400 to $500 range for those microphones, so about half the cost of one of these. They sound good, but they're made, again, not to pick up every sound in the studio. They're built to pick up more of what's in front of them as opposed to what's to the side or behind. Again, it's not that they won't pick up anything, it's just they're not as sensitive. So that would be my recommendation. Megan, happy Canada Day. Yes, indeed. Thanks for mentioning that. Okay. Wow. Okay. I'm not going to have time to hit all these questions. We have so much. I love it though. Thank you. I'll go back and reference these for some of the videos next week. But just quickly here, we've got Wayne, Olympic Peninsula, Washington State. Lemuel has a 4th of July. His youngest is a 4th of July baby, although he's not a baby anymore. They don't stay babies long, do they? Hey, Tony. Yeah, it is. It's morning here, but it's afternoon there in Ireland where you are. Would you say voiceover can be a stressful job? Oh, sure. I mean, it can be. I don't find it nearly as stressful as other things that I've done, because I have control over what I do. But I mean, I still have to meet deadlines. It can get when you really start to reach a certain level of success is when it can be stressful because sometimes I can be dealing with as many as 10 projects a day. Now, that hasn't happened during COVID. I'm pretty confident it will once things, once budgets start to open up and people start spending more money on creating corporate work, corporate narration, e-learning, that kind of stuff. So, when you're juggling 6, 7, 8, 9 jobs in a day and people are, pushing to have things done quickly and people are coming back with pickups or changes, yeah, it can get stressful and frustrating, but I mean, compared to other things like radio, I would say, especially early on, that was a high stress job. There's just I don't have time to get into all the reasons it can be stressful. Although once, like with anything else, once you learn it and you know it, it's the stress just becomes part of the, dare I say, fun of it. It's fast paced, but voiceover can be, but I don't generally consider it to be a stressful job. No. Oh my gosh. Jersey, Westerville, Ohio. Let's see here. So many folks. Thank you for checking in. I appreciate it. Again, I've got to get to work here this morning, but thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. I'll go back and look at those questions later and try to integrate some of those into next week's videos. But remember, I'm here every weekday morning, right around 8 o'clock. You guys have a great day. Thanks for being here. Hope you have a wonderful weekend, a safe holiday weekend for my friends in the U.S. and Canada. And we'll talk to you soon.